So you have to forgive me for the mess, but explain what's going on here. We've got, these are the 4 cells, these are the CATL 302 amp hour cells. Victron Smart Shunt. I've also got a PZEM 017 shunt. The BMS, which has also got current monitoring in it. And then the BMS data is being uploaded to a server which records all the data. This is the so's the smart shunt as well, the PZEM 017, and the Victron smart shunt is Bluetooth, but it's also being sent to the Victron portal. This is the Victron. This is a 12 volt inverter, and this will be, when this is on, this will be powering this power supply, which when I first turn it on kicks out a couple of 100 amps load. It pulls a couple of 100 amps load from that, and that's being fed into this battery, and then this battery is feeding that inverter, and that inverter's exporting to the grid where my main inverter is being charged from. So that's how we're going to do a capacity test on this. And this is the monitoring here. So this one is the current cell voltages at the moment. Have I got that on a refresh? 5 seconds. So this is the voltages at the moment. This is the this is what it was charged to last time. This is the PZEM 017 shunt, which I've got uploaded to here at the moment. So that's all zeroed. This is the shunt as we speak, and this is the switch that's going to turn it all on. So what we'll do, I haven't plugged it in, hold on, sorry about that. So this is just a device I made so I can turn it on and off remotely. So we'll turn the inverter on, that's switched that on, the inverter's firing up. You can probably hear it, that means the power supply is turning on. And what we'll do is we'll go to this here, because this is real time, so you can see the current 250 amps it spiked to, and then it should go down. I can't remember what I've got it set to run at. So that's pulling 200 amps from the cells at the moment, and then it should drop down. There you go, 47 amps, which is 615 watts. So if we have a look at this data here, we should see, let's change this to 5 minutes. So we should see, this is just a few seconds ago. Actually, let's view this data here. So these are the cell voltages as we speak. This is where we turn it on, and then it cells drop, so pulling 250 amps for a split second. The cell voltages dropped to 3.156, and then they are now pulling 600 watts, which is 47 amps. They're back up to 2.381. So you can tell the cells are really nicely matched, because as they were pulling all that current, there was only a very small deviation. Okay, so I think that's all I need to show right now. So I'll probably come back soon and we'll see how this is getting on. I just realised that 600 watts was a bit slow, so I've just upped it to 720 watts, so it's 55 amps. I think we're like nearly an hour into the test now, 45 minutes or so. So yeah, we'll see that so this is where it started. We'll see the voltage cells drop where it was 200, I don't know, what was it, 230, 250 amps, and then it was running at 600 watts or 47, 46 amps. So now I've just upped it to 720 watts, just a bit over, so it's 55, nearly, actually, I'm going to change it so it's 60 amps, I think. Cool, let's see if that changes it. 58.7. So this is, sorry, this is the BMS at the minute. BMS is reading 59.7. So if we go back to, oops, where are we? That's the BMS. This is the shunt, there you go, 60 amps. So, yep, we'll just stick with that until the end of the test. I also forgot to mention that the cell temperature will slightly increase because obviously it should get up to around 20, mid 20 degrees. But I probably should have started it at 25 because that's what the data sheet says to start them at if you want to do a fair test, but I think that's fine. This is a real world example anyway. That's a different battery. Where were we? So we'll stick back with this and we'll check it again a bit later. So the current cells, actually this is quite cool because this will tell us, so the last reading was as in like 5 seconds ago. This is the last set of readings. This is the max, so this is what it was when we started the test, and this is what it was when we pulled 250 amps. So we'll leave it at that and we'll come back to it a bit later. Here we are about 4 hours later. Everything's still running quite nicely. Inverter's still putting out 700 watts. Still exporting 600 watts. Yeah, everything's working. So just thought we would have a quick look at this. If we go to so the Victron says we've done 240 amp hours so far, so 15% remaining. That's the wrong battery. Why is that there? Cell voltage is down to 1.62 ish, so that's pretty good. They're all matching quite nicely actually. State, hang on, what's going on there? State of charge 86. Oh, here we go. Did I not refresh it? Oh yeah, that's fine. So the BMS thinks we're 20%. State of charge, deviation 9 millivolts, that's pretty good. You can see our temperature's raised a little bit. 25.6 degrees, 23.7 degrees actually. One thing I have found interesting is there's a deviation between what this current, what this shunt says and what the Victron one says. So we'll probably go by the Victron one, but that's why there's three. You know, you've got the BMS, we've got the Victron, and we've got the PZ EM17. So all looking pretty good. Yeah, nothing to report. We'll just leave it going for another hour and we should be done. Okay, it's the next day. This is the results of the capacity test. So it's interesting actually because the PZEM017 shunt measured a higher amp hour. The BMS and the Victron Smart Shunt measured pretty much the same. So the Smart Shunt measured 305 amp hours, and then the way to get the amp hour out of the BMS is to select this time frame here, which I've already done, and the difference in that time frame is basically the test ran for 5 hours and 8 minutes. So which is 5 hours. 5.133 hours. So you do the mean, which is 58.3 amp hours, and you times that by 5.133, and that gives you 299.25 amp hours. So that's, you know, close enough to that. That's great. The temperature of the BMS, it did get up to nearly 25 degrees eventually. So I mean, it's 2 hours amp hour out of spec, but we did start the test at a lower capacity, sorry, a lower temperature, and also we've got, before the BMS, we've got two 2 shunts. So or saying that though, this one is reading pretty accurate, so I think we're good there. Let's look at the curve, the voltage curve. So this is interesting. Again, this is where we've pulled a considerable amount of current, and then this is where I've changed the power, this drop here, and then down here you can see its cell 4's got a slightly different knee, but it doesn't matter because by the time it reaches here it actually matches the other cells, and in fact the lowest cell was cell 1, so yeah, that's fine, that's pretty good actually. We'll just have a quick look at this data. So we can see that it measured 307 amp hours, which is different. The average voltage of that time frame of the test is 12.8 volts. The average current is the same. So it seems to be just an issue with the amp hour calculation. I programmed that myself, so I'll have to check that. But again, that's why I used a couple of different shunts. So what did this come out with as the average voltage? 12.82. So brilliant. No, they seem to be very good cells. I'm happy with that.